You've got this blank, spaced out look on your face today. What's going on?
Spaced out in a ruggedly handsome way, or like someone who's about to be chased by debt collectors.
More like someone who just remembered doing something unbelievably embarrassing.
So, perceptive. You hit the nail right on the head.
What did you do this time?
This morning, I opened the fridge, looking for my phone. Don't laugh, the most agonizing part is that the phone was sitting right there on the dining table.
Then what were you doing standing in front of the fridge?
Beats me. When I opened the door, I just stood there staring blankly at a watermelon for 10 solid seconds, as if waiting for it to tell me what I was looking for.
Your brain must have been running a system update.
Yeah, the forget the past, lose the present, erase it all patch.
Rest assured, I've pulled a stunt far more mortifying than that.
Let's hear it, just to make me feel a little less idiotic.
Once, I held the TV remote and scoured the entire house just to find the remote itself.
While it was literally in your hand?
Yep, gripping it for dear life, no less.
So how long did it take for reality to dawn on you?
Not until my dad walked by and asked, "Are you trying to change the channel on the fan, or what? You've been clicking that thing forever."
Haha, that is an absolute masterpiece.
My family had a field day teasing me about it for a whole week.
It's true, when those moments happen, you just want the earth to swallow you whole.
Yet a few years later, when recounting them, everyone's face lights up as if reciting tales of glorious triumph.
Because that's when we realize, nobody is flawless. As a kid, I always thought adults were these superhuman beings who never made mistakes.
And then you grow up and realize,
Adults mess up all the time, they just do it with an air of absolute composure.
exactly, composure is everything.
Take my mom, for instance. Once, she was cooking while chatting on her phone, and somehow casually tossed the phone right into the rice cooker.
What? And then what happened?
Well, naturally, she proceeded to search the entire house for it.
Didn't she try calling it from another phone?
She did, but the roar of the kitchen exhaust fan drowned out the ringtone completely.
Oh, good heavens.
It wasn't until dinner was served, she popped the lid open, and there it was, sitting majestically right next to the rice paddle.
Haha, did the phone survive?
Luckily, she hadn't pressed the cook button. But from that day on, our rice cooker was officially dubbed the Smart Safe.
Your family sure knows how to turn a disaster into a comedy sketch.
What about yours?
My family has a rich tradition of dragging out everyone's embarrassing skeletons during dinner.
Sounds like a high-pressure environment.
Absolutely terrifying. Last year on my birthday, my mom casually announced to all our relatives that when I was little, I used to wear a basket on my head, sprinting frantically around the yard screaming that I was an astronaut.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Astronauts do need to wear protective helmets.
But nobody wears a basket.
Perhaps NASA just hasn't caught up with that avant-garde design yet.
You always find a way to spin things for me.
I mean it, though. The more bizarre the childhood, the more unforgettable it is. Some people remember medals and perfect scores. We remember baskets, TV remotes, and watermelons.
Please, spare me. Let's never speak of that unholy trinity again.
But seriously, do you ever harbor any regrets about the past?
Definitely. Back in middle school, I had an absolute passion for drawing.
Why did you give it up?
I constantly criticized my own art, terrified of what others might think or judge. So, I just shelved it altogether.
What a shame. We truly are our own most merciless critics.
Quite the philosopher today. Have you been down that road too?
Yeah, I once bought a guitar intending to learn how to play.
How many songs did you master?
Exactly 2. After that, the poor instrument transformed into a fancy hanger for my masks, occasionally hosting a helmet too.
Ha ha, good grief! The guitar must have been seething with resentment.
It stared at me with sheer despair every single day. But lately, I've dusted it off and started learning again.
Is anything different this time around?
Vastly different. Back then, I demanded instant mastery. Now, I'm much more relaxed. Just strumming a few pleasant chords a day is enough.
Come to think of it, there is a distinct charm to being an adult.
What kind of charm?
The ability to embrace our own imperfections and still cheerfully march onward.
Absolutely. Sometimes, the most unforgettable memories aren't the milestones of glorious success.
But rather those endearing moments of absolute foolishness.
They teach us to laugh it off and stop taking life quite so seriously.
Exactly. If you err, you fix it. If you forget, you search.
And if you can't find it,
You just pop open the fridge first.
who knows, the watermelon might be safekeeping your phone for you.
I just realized something quite fascinating, by the way.
Did you find another anomaly in the fridge?
Not at all. What I mean is, normally, when you ask people about their hobbies, they answer in a heartbeat.
Well, naturally. It's their hobby, after all.
But if you follow up with, "Why do you like it?" without fail, they freeze up for a few seconds.
That actually sounds about right. Go ahead, test it on me.
What is your absolute favorite thing to do?
Drinking coffee.
And why do you like it so much?
Could you grant me 3 minutes to Google the answer?
I knew it.
Jokes aside, waking up without a cup of coffee leaves my brain functioning like a phone clinging to 2% battery.
And after that first cup?
It instantly surges to 78%.
Wait, why not a full 100%?
Because the remaining 22% requires a second cup for full activation.
Spoken like a true caffeine devotee. What about me? I adore reading. I dive into all sorts of genres, from fiction, psychology, and business, all the way to cookbooks.
Do you actually try out the recipes from those books?
Not in the slightest. I finish reading them, then grab my phone and order takeout.
Ah, so the book merely acts as a muse for your stomach.
Precisely. At the very least, it tantalizes the taste buds.
The culinary world owes you a debt of gratitude. I actually tried cultivating a reading habit once, you know.
And how did that pan out?
I'd make it through exactly 3 pages, and then be out like a light.
Well, at least the book doubled as an exceptional sleep aid.
A highly positive side effect, wouldn't you say?
I suspect the issue wasn't the book, but your dreadful timing. Don't read while lying in bed.
But I'd fall asleep even while sitting on the sofa.
What about sitting upright at a desk?
Still nodding off.
How about heading out to a coffee shop?
I'd sleep even more soundly, lulled by the soothing background music.
All right, I officially surrender.
Truth be told, I do possess a natural-born gift.
A gift for slumber?
Spot on. If there were a World Sleep Championship, I'd undoubtedly seize the gold.
Unlikely. You'd probably sleep right through the tournament.
Fair point. But beyond coffee and sleeping, I also have a profound passion for photography.
Really? Do you lean toward landscapes or portraits?
I capture it all, from sweeping landscapes to people, right down to pets.
So what is the most cherished photograph you've ever taken?
A slice of pastry, because mere seconds after the shutter clicked, I devoured it completely.
Pity the poor pastry, such a fleeting existence.
At least its essence is eternally preserved in the two safest places possible.
In your phone and in your stomach?
Not a fraction of a doubt.
How many photos are hoarding up your storage right now?
Roughly 20,000 shots.
That is an astronomical amount.
And a good 10,000 of them are purely of food.
And the other 10,000?
Just alternative angles of those very same dishes. I take them to compare which perspective looks more appetizing.
Now I understand why your phone is perpetually screaming about full storage. Normal people save memories. Your device archives menus.
You couldn't be more right. How about you? Aside from devouring books, what else captivates you?
I have a fondness for writing. Sometimes I craft short stories, but mostly I just chronicle those random, fleeting thoughts that suddenly flash across my mind.
Give me a sample of one, for instance.
Do not strive to be an interesting person. Simply harbor a curious soul, and life itself will inevitably become interesting.
That is brilliant. Truly profound.
There are days when I'm strolling through a supermarket, and I literally freeze mid-aisle just to whip out my phone and jot something down.
The bystanders probably assume you're intensely calculating a rather stressful grocery bill.
One time, I stood utterly paralyzed in the produce section for a solid 10 minutes, entirely absorbed in capturing a sudden spark of an idea.
And did you actually end up buying any vegetables?
Slipped my mind completely. It wasn't until I got home that I blankly realized I possessed a magnificent idea, yet absolutely nothing for dinner.
Passion certainly extracts a toll that is quite taxing on the stomach.
But the sensation of successfully immortalizing a brilliant thought is profoundly magical. It feels just like catching a firefly in the dead of night. If you aren't swift enough to secure it, it simply flutters away.
I resonate with that entirely. It's the same in photography. Some breathtaking moments only grace us for mere seconds. One delayed heartbeat, and it's lost for a lifetime.
It turns out every hobby imparts its own subtle lesson, doesn't it? Reading teaches us patience. Writing hones our meticulous observation, while photography educates us in seizing the fleeting moments.
And coffee teaches me the absolute necessity of never dozing off in the middle of a boardroom meeting.
Haha, do you ever find yourself so consumed by your hobby that you lose all track of time?
Undoubtedly, especially when I'm editing photos. I'll swear to myself I'm only going to lightly tweak them for 5 minutes.
And then?
2 hours later, I'm still there, squinting fiercely at the screen, increasing the brightness by a single solitary increment.
A single increment? Seriously?
Yep, bump it up slightly, and it feels too washed out. Dial it down a fraction, and it seems too gloomy. In the end, I resolutely return it to its exact original settings.
So you squandered 2 entire hours merely to scientifically prove that the unedited, original photo was already flawless?
You have to experiment to know the truth. It is, admittedly, perseverance manifested in the clunkiest way possible.
Yet, I admire that kind of persistence. Many people operate under the delusion that a hobby must generate wealth or material value to be deemed worthy.
I couldn't disagree more. Certain hobbies serve to recharge our spiritual reservoirs long before they yield any tangible outcomes. After a grueling day, just cradling my camera and taking a solitary stroll makes my spirit feel immeasurably lighter.
I feel exactly the same. Sometimes my writing is strictly for an audience of one myself, but the moment the words hit the page, all my earthly burdens seem to evaporate. Passion doesn't inherently have to catapult you into the spotlight.
It exists to anchor us, preventing us from blurring into the background and losing our true selves.
That was breathtakingly poetic. I absolutely must write that down right this second.
Jot it down quickly before it escapes.
Done! Thank heavens I'm not stationed in the produce aisle this time, so there's no imminent threat of starvation.
Otherwise, tonight's culinary menu would consist entirely of conceptual ideas paired finely with a cup of my coffee.
You really never miss an opportunity to seamlessly advertise your coffee, do you?
That isn't advertising. It is the fierce loyalty of someone who understands that sometimes a tiny beacon of joy within a porcelain cup is powerful enough to salvage an exhaustingly long day.
For me, a captivating book or a half-finished page holds that very same miraculous power. At the end of the day, we each possess a unique charging station for our weary souls.
Have you ever noticed something intriguing?
What's that?
Back when we were tiny, whenever adults posed the classic question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" every single one of us would fire back an answer faster than lightning.
That is remarkably true. It was a torrential downpour of astronauts, doctors, singers.
And superheroes, of course.
Wait, since when does being a superhero qualify as a legitimate career path?
Oh, please, like my younger self cared about technicalities.
Did you genuinely want to be a superhero? Because of a burning desire to save the world?
Absolutely not. Simply because those majestic, billowing capes looked undeniably badass.
The most quintessential childhood reasoning. If you strutted down the street in a crimson cape today, they'd probably call security to have you restrained.
And what about your grand aspirations?
Back then, my dream was to open a convenience store, that sold literally everything in the universe.
Specifically, what kind of merchandise were we talking about?
Confections, toys, comic books, ice cream, plushies, and a fully grown Tyrannosaurus Rex. At the time, I believed that whatever a customer demanded, I absolutely had to stock it.
Your store truly embodied the everything under the sun ethos, lacking only an actual living dinosaur.
Thank goodness it wasn't real, or that dinosaur would have unceremoniously devoured the shopkeeper.
Growing up, you realize our objectives morph and twist drastically with the sands of time.
Indisputably, fresh out of school, the only ambition was amassing colossal wealth. Now, I just desperately crave a solid 8 hours of sleep a night.
And ironically, that latter desire seems far more impossible to achieve than the former.
You hit the bullseye there!
Once upon a time, I believed success equated to possessing an abundance of worldly things. Now, my definition is much simpler. Success is waking up and not having to frantically ransack the fridge in search of my phone.
Haha, an absolute monumental leap of progress, my friend.
You have to keep it grounded like that, just to bleed off some of life's crushing pressure.
I quite admire your philosophy on goal setting.
And you? What stands as your ultimate goal at the present moment?
I aspire to learn one entirely new thing every single year. It sounds minuscule, but maintain that perseverance for a decade, and I'll have an overflowing basket of profound experiences.
Exceedingly brilliant. So, what grand subject are you tackling this year?
I am currently mastering the fine art of patience.
And how is that rigorous education progressing?
Still agonizingly waiting for the results to manifest.
That embodies the very quintessential spirit of the subject.
I yearn to travel far and wide, to encounter a rich mosaic of people. Every soul I meet carries a unique narrative, and every story bestows an invaluable lesson. I once read a magnificent quote: "Do not merely hoard possessions, curate experiences." From that moment on, I began to fiercely treasure the simple, unassuming wonders around me.
Sujas?
A joyous, sparkling conversation, a profoundly tranquil afternoon, a flawlessly brewed cup of coffee, or a fit of laughter that leaves you in tears. It appears we've managed to capture all of those today, haven't we?
We are missing one extraordinarily vital component.
What on earth is that?
Pastries. Where there is coffee, a decadent pastry must inevitably follow.
Your stomach genuinely has a habit of outrunning your brain at every turn.
No matter how gargantuan the dream, it must always commence on a comfortably full stomach.
Tell me something, do you ever fear the phantom of failure?
Of course I do. Who wouldn't? But if you let terror paralyze your ambitions, you'll spend an eternity just marching idly in place.
But what if you actually plunge into failure? How do you navigate that?
You simply pivot the narrative. For instance, if my objective is mastering the culinary arts, yet I incinerate the kitchen every single time.
Would you completely throw in the towel?
No, I'd seamlessly transition to mastering mixed salads. No stoves required, and it acts as a phenomenal safety guarantee for the entire household.
Haha. You possess a remarkable talent for selecting the most breathable battlefields.
In truth, I believe dreams needn't always be grandiose, earth-shattering endeavors. It is essential to cultivate those delicate, bite-sized goals every single day.
So true. Like savoring a few pages of a book, taking a brief, solitary walk, or calling to check in on loved ones. Those seemingly trivial actions, when woven together consistently, forge something monumental.
Exactly like dropping a single coin into a glass jar every day, you blink, and suddenly the jar is brimming. The ultimate goal isn't vaulting to the mountain's peak in a single bound, but taking those relentless, diminutive steps and never ceasing the ascent.
Have you ever envisioned the kind of person you'll become in 10 years? I certainly have. My only fervent hope is that a decade from now, my insatiable curiosity toward this world remains brilliantly intact.
Is that truly it? No cravings for opulent wealth, blinding fame, or resplendent success.
Well, I certainly wouldn't object to those. But curiosity is the very root. It fuels the eternal desire to learn and propel forward. What about you?
I only hope that 10 years down the line, I am still able to sit comfortably in a familiar cafe corner exactly like this one, leisurely sipping a cup of coffee.
Just sitting around drinking coffee? Doesn't that sound dreadfully monotonous?
The true essence lies in still having beloved companions to share conversations with. You know how it is the older we grow, the more engulfed by busyness we become, so consumed that we neglect even the simplest of inquiries. How have you been lately?
It sounds deceivingly simple, yet it is arguably one of the most agonizingly difficult goals to sustain.
Which is precisely why I selected it as my lifelong ambition, to preserve those profoundly authentic conversations and retain the people who can draw out my most uninhibited laughter. Someone exactly like you, for instance.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that.
But consider this a fair warning. The next time you become so entranced by recording ideas that you entirely forget to buy groceries,
Then what?
remember to summon me along. Not to gently remind you about the vegetables, mind you, but so I can sneakily piggyback a few decadent pastries onto the bill.
Ultimately, all roads lead right back to food with you.
My short-term objective hasn't wavered a fraction since the dawn of time, and my long-term goal is simply to laugh a little harder every single day.
Well then, I'd declare that today we've flawlessly exceeded our quota.
Second that motion with every fiber of my being.
It turns out, dreams aren't exiled in some impossibly distant horizon, are they? They ignite right here, within today's most infinitesimal steps, and in our beautiful capacity to savor every fleeting moment of the journey.
Exactly. Because if we relentlessly fixate our gaze only upon that incredibly distant finish line,
We would inadvertently forfeit a magnificent symphony of laughter all along the way.